legislative session. This meeting is now called to order. We'll begin with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, one nation, God, liberty. Bless you. Trustee Codman,
Present.
Trustee Cusado,
Present.
Trustee Levin, present, and Mayor Garrity.
Present.
Do we have any mayors and trustees announcements?
We do. First, I want everybody to check your calendars, make sure you have modified your usual time and place that you would be tuning in or joining us for the village board meeting. Next Tuesday, yes, I said Tuesday, that will be July 25th, earlier than usual, starting at 7 p.m. All kinds of new exciting things. First off, new place, Ossining Public Library. Starts at 7 p.m. and it's on a Tuesday. So try to keep all that in your head. When I tell you what it is, it's the Downtown Redevelopment Working Committee. You've seen them present to us 3 different times already as part of our work sessions. This is a committee of 20 folks, 5 of us representing village government, but 3/4 of the committee is a diverse cross-section of residents from the village of Ossining, folks who have devoted a lot of time and energy to exploring how we might further redevelop and revitalize our downtown. And next Tuesday, July 25th at 7 p.m. in the theater at the Ossining Public Library, they are going to present their recommendations for your consideration and our consideration to help guide how the village board moves forward. So we're very excited to see these recommendations. We hope you will join us. If you are not able to join us in person, fear not. It will be televised the following day in broadcast as well as online. And we are going to be then looking forward to hearing people's comments, ideas, reactions, and get further input from the broader community. So that I expect that next week's recommendations will reignite what should be a very constructive conversation about how we move forward with revitalizing downtown. So that's top of my list. I'll put on my documentary discussion series hat because we are having a really wonderful screening happening this Thursday, July 20th. Also in the Bedars Theater, and that starts at 6:30. As always, it's free to the public. The name of the documentary is 13th, referencing the 13th Amendment, and it is one of the taglines sums it up pretty well, which is from emancipation to mass incarceration in one amendment. And the 13th Amendment, if you haven't figured it out yet, is referencing the emancipation, the abolishing of slavery, and thus leading to ultimately to African-American men being able to vote. So we look forward to a really fascinating screening, followed by what will be surely a spirited and really interesting conversation with the panel and all of you who join us for the screening at 6:30 tomorrow, the 20th of July. Deputy Mayor Codman, did you have some announcements to share?
Just a single announcement. On Saturday, August 5th at 7:30 at the Ossining Elks Lodge, more great jazz. And the Corcovado Samba Jazz Trio will be performing. They were the opening act on Friday night of the Sonny Chirac tribute that we did last month. And it should be a really great show. Starts at 7:30, and all money at the door goes to the band, and the Elks are happy to host, and we'll hope you can join us. That's Saturday, August 5th, 7:30, the Corcovado Jazz Samba Trio, and that's the Ossining Elks Lodge. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Move on to administrative reports, and we'll begin with interim village manager Paul Fraioli.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
This evening, I'd like to make a couple of comments with regard to DPW. Out on the road, because I think last time I made some DPW comments, I was commenting on the paving plans of the village, particularly with Snowden Avenue. That's the one that stands out in everybody's mind when they drive down that road. Con Ed is still actively working on Snowden and now Route 9, as well as Upper Croton Avenue, Camp Woods, and all that other area that we described was going to be in our 2017 capital paving program. So I'm actually meeting with our paving contractor later in this week, and we might pick an additional road or two that we're going to do in lieu of those, because it doesn't look like there's a potential for them not to be finished in time to pave this year. So we would like to utilize some of that money now, particularly since we just received a letter. It has a good ending. We received a letter. Again, the state's going to commit that extreme weather additional funding to our CHIPS money. I'm sorry I don't have the letter with me, but it's approximately an additional $30,000 that they're going to put in to supplement the CHIPS, the Pave New York supplement that they gave us, and now the extreme weather monies that they're going to give us. So we should have roughly the additional $300,000 from the state to go towards our paving lines this and then again next year in that. But you need to do the drawdown for those supplemental monies in the calendar year, so that's why we're looking to accomplish some paving now. You will see some activity with village contractors in the next few weeks on Snowden Avenue, because we're going to do some paving prep work, more specifically some of the sidewalks and the elevations that need to be adjusted there to accommodate the new paving that will take place when they do eventually finish. Also on Snowden Avenue, I received an email from the Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Facilities. The department did actually rebid the Snowden Avenue sewer project. I know that the low bidder is being qualified now because the low bid did come in, and it was in range of the engineer's estimate, which is something that is necessary before award as they qualify the bidders. So I'm looking forward to find out that they actually awarded that and hopefully have some type of construction commencement date sent to me sooner than later. Do I anticipate them starting this summer? No. If all things being equal, I think that's more likely to happen next year. But again, we were going to hold off on the paving of the lower section of Snowden anyway, because the county did agree to incorporate that into their contract. So that's saving us some significant money there. The department heads are here tonight, so Andy's going to take on the brunt of the public works and water discussion. But I did want to mention one thing that we're doing for now our 5th year straight is ever since the completion of the rehabilitation of the Nebrook filtration plant, we have went out and sought college technical oriented type degreed students to our students who are pursuing a degree in a technical nature to work at our filter plant. And again, we have starting next week, again for our 5th year in a row, a student at SUNY Plattsburgh who's studying environmental science. So it's a nice fit there, and we have the nice form for it. So we're looking forward to doing that again. And I think that's a nice thing to promote because it really does work well. And we've actually received letters from past students about how much it's helped them in their job endeavors, and even also it reflects well on the institution as well. So that's a good thing that we look to continue one day in a brand new plant. Absent from this evening's meeting are the fire chief and the superintendent of recreation. So I would like at this time, if it's all right with the clerk, to read their reports as well, starting with the fire chiefs. Before I do that, I also want to mention that Resolution E, with regard to the contract for my execution for CPIHR, I want to remind the public again that this is a study, not a commitment to a different insurance provider for the village. And if they want the details of that study, I encourage them to go on YouTube and watch our YouTube channel from last Wednesday's work session. It's given in great detail there. And then if there's any follow-up questions after that, they can always reach out for the manager's office and we can discuss it with them at that time. Now to the fire chief's report. Sorry I cannot make, this is from Chief Minicchio. Sorry I cannot make tonight's meeting due to the firework detail at St. Augustine's Fair. Chief Minicchio's report. They have had 378 calls to date, 60 of them in June, including one structure fire in the town on the Cole Circle. Lastly, a reminder that the Firemen's Parade in Ossining is Friday, August 4th, and the step-off is at 7 p.m. on Croton Avenue, all the way down to the waterfront. He hopes to see everyone there. Second is the report from the Superintendent of Recreation. Regarding programs, our summer day camp program began on Monday, June 26th. We currently have a total of 410 campers in grades pre-K through 8th grade enrolled in our 4 separate day camp programs. This compares to 420 campers enrolled in 2016. Campers have been enjoying our camp staples, arts and crafts, sports, group games, aquatics, and spray park programs. In addition, our day camps have hosted a variety of special events and performers that have included magicians, animal shows, science presentations, a drumming program, and a DJ dance party. We also introduced a new mobile library program to our 2017 day camps in collaboration with the Ossining Public Library. This program brings library staff to the community center 3 days a week. While at the community center, campers are able to assess a collection of library books, browse and read the books, obtain a library card if needed, and sign books out to take home. The Recreation Department would like to thank the Ossining Public Library staff and Director Karen LaRocca-Fells for facilitating the program and making it all possible. Our swim lesson summer sessions began on July 8th. The summer session consists of 6 lessons offered on Saturday mornings in July and August. All 20 sections of lessons offered are running with 154 registered participants. With our day camp program ending on August 4th, we will be offering additional specialty camps over the course of the remaining 4 weeks of the summer break. All the following programs are still accepting registrations, but we encourage those interested to register as soon as possible to avoid missing out on the fun. A reminder that the pool is on its summer camp schedule until the conclusion of the day camp program on Friday, August 4th. Due to camp use during the day, open swim hours run from 3 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturdays, and 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. We encourage everyone to come down and get their open swim pass for the year if they haven't done so already. Parks and facilities. Parks crews continue to maintain all parks grounds and athletic fields, as well as beautification initiatives, including the hanging flower baskets and the tree wells downtown as part of the new Adopt a Tree Well program. With many of our camp programs taking place in our parks and at the community center, the park staff and the community center staff play a major role in supporting the camp programs and ensuring that all our campsites are properly maintained and meet the camp safety standards as set by the Westchester County Department of Health. Also, with the increased use of our pool facility during the summer months, the pool personnel, from full-time aquatic staff to lifeguards to facility maintenance, all play critical roles in proper and safe pool operations. So I would like to thank them for their continued efforts in maintaining our top-notch aquatics facility through these busy months. Some special events. The July 3rd fireworks celebration went very well and was enjoyed by thousands along the waterfront. Both Lewis Engel Park and Henry Gordine Park were full of families and friends enjoying the 4th of July holiday event. The crowd was treated to a great performance by Tribal Legacy, a reggae group based out of Brooklyn. They performed before and after a stellar fireworks display by Interstate Fireworks. I would like to thank the event incident commander, Lieutenant Rich Damiano, and the Ossining Police Department for their organization, management, and support throughout the event. I would also like to thank Fire Chief Angelo Miniccio and the Ossining Fire Department, Nick Franzoso, and OVAC, and Mike Duffy and Village DPW for all the efforts in making the event a safe and enjoyable one. This summer, there is plenty of music to enjoy. The Ossining Waterfront Concert Series is underway. The series offers performances on Friday, with the exception of one concert to be held on Saturday, August 5th, throughout the summer at 7 p.m. at Lewis Engel Park. This Friday is a performance by the Uncle Brothers, which will bring their family-friendly and interactive show to the waterfront. Also, there is Monday Night Jazz at Henry Gordine Park. Jazz Forum Arts, with a co-sponsorship from Ginsberg Development Corporation, has put together for the second consecutive year a 4-concert series on Monday evenings with music beginning at 6:30 p.m. 3 concerts remain, with one on July 24th, August 7th, and August 21st. On Thursday, July 27th, Ossining Recreation and Johnny Jimenez, aka DJ Johnny J, will host the first disco night on the waterfront at Henry Gordine Park. Johnny will play all the classic disco hits to get everyone dancing. The music will start at 7 p.m. There is no charge. All you need are your boogie shoes.
Did you write that, Paul?
No.
Does it sound like he wrote that?
That was the joke. Sorry,
To get more
continue.
details on these events, as well as to stay up to date on all other department happenings, make sure to visit our department's webpage at villageofossining.org, as well as the Ossining Recreation and Parks Facebook page, or feel free to call us at 941-3189. And as always, you can visit the recreation office at the community center to access hard copies of all program information. Again, with the managers here tonight, we'll hear the rest of their reports. Thank you.
Move on to Corporation Counsel, Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. On tonight's agenda are two resolutions relating to the Snowden Woods project, which is Ossining River Associates. The first is the referral of the requested zoning text amendment to the Planning Board, and the second is a resolution for notice of intent for the Board of Trustees to serve as lead agency. I'll read, when we get to that resolution, I will read the actual notice of intent, which will be sent out to the various involved and interested agencies. There's a fairly comprehensive list of all those who will be placed on notice with regard to that. Over the past couple of weeks, I've met with a number of property owners and other individuals who have issues relating to, let's say, their buildings or orders to remedies that have come in. We have had great assistance with the building department on these things, and we have met with these folks. With a couple of the buildings, we have met over consecutive weeks to go over these various issues that have to be done. We are very hopeful that progress will be made. If not, there are other actions that will have to be taken, and we make that clear as well. We're also continuing to deal with some of the claims that have recently come into the village. Most of them are fairly small. Some of them we've been able to resolve ourselves. If not the others, they are referred to outside counsel. And we're working on evaluating both the Corp Counsel office and particularly with the deputy corporation counsels. And it's my hope that at a future work session, I'll be able to address those issues with the board in terms of things that, I believe should be looked at in terms of that particular office. Thanks.
Move on to Police Chief Kevin Sylvester.
Good evening. Last week we successfully completed our accreditation site visit, so we are up to date with everything for our New York State accreditation program. This past week we participated with the school district in their summer reading bookmobile, which turned out to be a book table because of the rain, but we're encouraging everybody to keep an eye out as Superintendent Sanchez and I will be riding around handing out books to kids. In order to do that, we're asking for donations from residents. If you have gently used children's books, you can drop them off to 400 Executive Boulevard, the school district, and we will be placing a book drop in the lobby of the Birdsall Fagan Police and Court facility here tomorrow as soon as I get another free minute. But any book donations that we have, please bring them in. The kids were really excited to take part in this. We had a huge turnout, and it's great to see kids so excited about reading, and we support that. Going forward tomorrow night, we're supposed to have Cops and Kids softball. We are canceling that because of all the other events that are going on between the St. Augustine's Fair and a few other events. We're going to postpone that. It's not canceled, but we will push it back a little bit, so stay tuned for details on that. Not to be outdone, we will be at the Atria tomorrow at 3 p.m. for a cook-off with our mayor as one of the judges, so obviously the police department will be winning. But some of our staff is going to be competing against Chef Julie and her staff up at the Atria, and that's going to be at 3 o'clock. So we have a cooking competition going on. And last, we just want to say there's a lot of traffic complaints coming in. We had one just after last board meeting, and a few of them that we've heard earlier today. If people have issues in their neighborhood, we encourage them to reach out to the police department, let us know. We are here to help. We can set up a whole slew of different solutions for how we can slow traffic down on your block. But sometimes we need the input of the public to let us know where those critical areas are. So if you've got an issue in your neighborhood that needs our attention, please give us a call and let us know. Thanks.
Thank you.
Superintendent of Water and Sewers, Andrew Teese.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Starting with the reservoir, we're at 94% capacity.
Wow.
Last month we were at 65% capacity. We're still purchasing 100% of our water from New York City, as we did last month. That particular project, the Legacy Valve Company completed all the punch list items on the rehabilitation project. And last month the DEC did give us authorization to start filling, as everybody knows. So We will have the reservoir filled by August 1st to 100% capacity. And then they will be requiring us to keep it filled at 100% for 30 days to prove that it's safe and that it doesn't have seepage outside the limits that it should. We're scheduled for the 12th design meeting of the new water filtration plant next week. So within the next few months, we will bring them to you guys in a work session and talk about the details. Everything from roofing and solar and that kind of detail.
Forward to it.
Gordon Avenue water main project that was designed by Megan Air Engineers. I got a call from the health department today. They approved it this morning. So we will be advertising and going out for bid in the next month. On July 8th, we experienced a 12-inch water break on Stormy Town Road at 3:30 in the morning. The operator on duty at the filtration plant immediately started receiving low pressure alarms at some of the pump stations, 2 separate locations. And since we've put the new SCADA system in, the supervisory control system, he was able to dispatch field personnel right away, which prevented the water tank from going too low into a low pressure situation. This valuable information allowed us to get to the break fast. So it's sometimes it takes a while to find a break, especially a break like that. If there was damage to the road, it would have been found later in that morning, but it was going into a creek, so it wasn't so obvious. It wasn't like, you know, a big stream of water going down the road. It was into a waterway. So it's paying off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Treasurer Thomas Warren.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
With the mid-year point here, this reminder for the payment and collection of village property taxes. The second installment of 2017 village property taxes is due by July 31st without penalty. Tax payments may be made in person at 16 Croton Avenue, second floor, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4:30, by mail or by the village's website. If there's any questions, taxpayers are encouraged to call the Finance Department at 941-2581. Next Tuesday, July 25th at 1 o'clock p.m. in the municipal building, the new town receiver taxes, Holly Perlowitz, will be auctioning 2 parcels with unpaid village and town tax liens that are past the redemption date. The village and town have traditionally held joint foreclosure property tax auctions, as our unpaid tax liens usually overlap. Both parcels are located in the village, one at 15 Meadowbrook Drive and the other at 27 Secor Road. Perhaps people that have been in the municipal buildings that pay their taxes this month may have seen the notice on the doors, and also in our office describing the 2 properties and giving information about the opening bids and where to find additional information. The foreclosure and selling of properties at auction is a final step to enforce collection of unpaid taxes, and is done to protect the taxpayers as a whole, as well as the town and village. Interested parties are encouraged to visit the town's website at townofaustining.com to view information about each parcel and obtain general bid information and information on how to register to bid. And finally, I'd like to talk about the New York State Shared Services Program, which was part of the governor's proposal that was included in the New York State adopted budget for the current year, and requires each county in the state, along with their respective cities, towns, and villages, to develop property tax savings plans through shared services. I've attended one meeting already, and we've been preparing documents for the county with assistance from the department heads. We completed one survey to provide information regarding potential areas for shared services options as it relates to information technology and certain aspects of emergency services. And we'd also completed a document, which should be no surprise here to the village board, detailing all the areas of municipal cooperation and shared services and IMAs that the village already participates in. I think that that might be part of the county's plan, is to first list all the shared services that already exists in the county. Thank you.
Tom, before you sit down, I just want to comment. Thank you for putting together all of that information, and thank you to a number of folks in village government. And Stuart, you were helpful with reviewing all the IMAs, because we have over a dozen IMAs with the town demonstrating all of the sharing that we already do. But then the county came back to us and provided a long list of potential additional shared, not exactly shared services, but resources. And I was really pleased that there were a few that we thought we might be able to benefit from, and then there were a couple that we're already doing. So thank you to everybody who reviewed that and looked for even more opportunities for us to share services and cut back on the cost that it is and improve the service that we're able to provide. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Director of Planning and Development, Lynn Brooks Avenue.
Good evening, Mayor, Trustees, Interim Village Manager, Corp Counsel, and Madam Clerk. This is an update on our activities of the last month. We've been hard at work at Housing Austining. The consultant is nearing completion of the final deliverable of the housing assessment of the village. Thank you to everyone who participated, whether it was to help advertise the event, attend a stakeholder session, a public meeting, complete an online survey, or take the time to provide detailed and thoughtful comments. Those responses will help the consultant paint a more comprehensive picture of the village and help inform what recommendations and strategies have the potential for success in the village. Resolution D on tonight's agenda. This is in regard to a consortium of 5 communities: the village and town of Austining, Croton-on-Hudson, town of Cortland, town of Newcastle, and Westchester County. In 2008, the Indian Brook Croton Gorge Watershed Action Plan was completed with goals and recommendations to protect and enhance the watershed. The consortium is partnering and applying for a $60,000 planning and implementation study of the IBCG watershed. The application is through the New York State LWRP, which is the Local Waterfront Revitalization Program for Lakeside Watershed Wide Revitalization Plan. All of the participating municipalities are providing an in-kind match of staff's time. With respect to the grant that the village has and is partnered with IFCA, a CDBG grant, we are looking forward to a groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow, July 20th at 11 a.m. at 19 Hamilton Avenue. Everyone is welcome to join us. IFCA's building at 19 Hamilton Avenue provides affordable workforce housing to 6 families, and its 4951 State Street building houses 4 families. Because of this New York State CDBG grant, these 10 units will be preserved as affordable workforce housing in the village. With respect to the IMA on the grant with the town of Austining and Newcastle, this is a grant to develop a plan for a cohesive network of bike trails linking commercial centers in both the village and town and the Newcastle area. Over the last several months, the group has met several times to review possible bike routes on existing roadways, and we have another meeting later this week to further refine some of the proposed routes. On July 31st, village planning staff and the Hudson Valley Arts and Sciences will again meet with several state agencies to discuss the proposed PEER grant. We had an initial meeting with New York State DEC and the Army Corps on June 16th. As you will recall, this was a $100,000 grant awarded to Hudson Valley Arts and Science in 2016, and the goal is to design and permit a PEER extension that can accommodate a multitude of uses. Some good news: IFCA has informed the village that we are currently 100% leased up on all the affordable units at Harbor Square. The next planning board meeting is scheduled for next week, Tuesday, July 25th. Our next HPC meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 7th, and our next zoning board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 8th.
Lynn, I want to thank you for all of your attention to working with Kevin Dworka and his team on the housing analysis that's being done. And I know all of us on the board have had an opportunity to speak with Kevin and provide a lot of feedback on the recommendations that he's bringing to us. And I'm really looking forward to having that public conversation with Scott, sort of short, medium, and long-term goals that were recommendations for us to be able to achieve our big picture goals. And I think it's going to lead to some really constructive and thoughtful outcomes for the community. And I thank you for helping navigate us through that whole process. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Building Inspector Joseph Agostinelli.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. Just want to start off by just updating everyone on the stuff that we've been putting up onto our Unicity system in Laserfish. We have currently a seasonal employee who's been scanning and uploading these permits into our system. She's obviously starting from permit number 1, which was on record back in 1949. And up to date is completed uploading about 1,600 permits and any C of Os that were issued for these permits. We estimate there's about 30,000 more of these to be completed. The current employee will continue working with us for about another 4 weeks until she goes back to school at the end of August. And although she's completed a good amount, there's obviously a lot more that needs to be done. We're hoping that we can continue with maybe getting another full-time seasonal worker that will keep the process going. Second thing is we've had about 25% response to the letters that we sent out about operating permits for the businesses that require to apply for them. Approximately, we sent out about 66 businesses that received these notices. 18 have submitted their applications. 2 of them so far have passed and received their permits. The other 16 have been inspected with the pending re-inspection to be done to correct any of the violations that were observed. I would encourage that the other 75%, or approximately about 48 of these businesses, to respond and do so as soon as possible. The department's going to send out a second notice. Reminder, the operating permits are required by New York State law. Failure to respond to entities can result in violations being issued to business owners, so suggest when they get the second notice to start applying for those permits. Third, recently it's been brought to my attention about some concerns requiring installation and information on signage. Permits are required for installation of signs, whether they're facade sign, freestanding sign, flag sign, window signs, awnings, or home-based business signs in a residential district, or any temporary sign which are permitted to be installed twice a year for a maximum of 30 days, which promote a business. Any sign which is installed in the historic district which is predominantly along Main Street in the downtown area or the Sparta district, also will require approval from the Historic Preservation Commission. If an awning sign is installed that extends into the public right-of-way, then the Board of Trustees also needs to approve this. To assist the general public and any business owners in understanding the requirements, we're going to add this information to our website with any hope to eliminate any misunderstanding on signage. Lastly, I'm not typically a person who presents statistics or numbers, but since we're slightly past the midway point of the year, I just want to take some time to share some figures that I collected through some reports that I printed out. Since January the 1st, the building department has conducted 1,002 building inspections, 188 Section 8 inspections, reviewed and issued over 208 building permits. We've received over 450 complaints that have been investigated, either have been rectified or in the process of correcting, whether through an order to remedy or a court appearance ticket. Currently, the department is staffed at 1 building inspector and 2 code enforcement officers, so obviously the amount that's being done is pretty large. We understand that residents who file the complaints with the building department for violations of any of the local or state ordinances are eager to have the problem which affects them resolved. But the staff is working as hard as possible to serve the community and correct these problems. Sometimes the process to gain compliance takes time and can be frustrating, but rest assured we're doing the best that we can to get it done. I just request that we just get some patience.
Yes, can you please repeat those numbers?
We've done 1,002 building inspections, 188 Section 8 inspections, issued 208 building permits, and we've taken in up to date 451 complaints.
How many complaints?
451.
Thank you.
Joe? Ben? So you have a seasonal worker doing scanning, basically, right?
Yes.
Full time for like 8 weeks at this point?
No, she's been part-time.
Part time. So it's like half time, right?
She works about 15 hours a week.
Okay, so if she works 15 hours a week and does the numbers she needs to do. I understand that we need certified inspectors and all that, but last time you spoke, it was suggested that maybe we up the number of seasonal workers, especially in the summer, because I actually thought it was full-time. It will take you 3 years, without vacations, sick days, or anything else to get this through all of this. With a part-time person will take you 6 years. It just seems to me that getting a seasonal person that doesn't require certification and doesn't during the summer or even going into the school year might be something that we should look into, because that's office work that people can do. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. If I may, Joe, on Joe's behalf, we have discussed this. This was something that we did want to get to right away. We needed certain equipment to start the process, and Joe secured that with the help of our IT department last month. So that's all in place now. One of the things that make this such a methodical process is it's not just directing someone to a file cabinet and saying, scan that, put it here. Correct me if I'm wrong, there's a purging going on as well, concurrent with the scanning effort, where it would be easy to call in a scanning company and just say scan all these documents and put them into the file, but that would really not be efficient or prudent, because for argument's sake, half the files don't need to be scanned because they're duplicates or they're dated versions of a more recent version. So they're going through that process as well. This is really the learning curve we're going through right now, and hence the I think the time that we're going through. But what we did talk about with Joe is bringing on a full-time seasonal and extending that until such a time that we can get the rest of his staff on board. We've talked about right now he has an assistant building inspector and a fire inspector open in his budget right now, but we may fill that a little differently, and we're back and forth with that, or we may supplement those two positions. So no rest for the weary, but stay tuned for that. That's taking shape.
Right,
Thank you, Joe.
and the thing with uploading is it's scanning to have the document on the computer system, so down the road if somebody's asking for it, you're not searching for it, they can print one out. But to put it into our system, into Municity, which is the system we use for all our records, they actually have to not only just scan it, but then type in the description of that, so it's registered in our system. So it's a little bit more than just scanning a document, it's actually recording the document, and she has to actually type that in and create record for that under that parcel. So, yeah, and if we sent it out, anybody we'd send it out to wouldn't know specifically what needs to be entered and what information needs to be there. So to have the person in the office and they're not sure over a document, they can get some advice, what should we actually record this as, or do we really actually need to put this one in, or could we not put that? So it's better really to do it in-house. It's just that it takes some time to do.
It sounds like the process is being done in a really smart way as far as being a more effective system when it is done, and that the files would be much more valuable for everybody trying to get information. What I'm also hearing is that we're looking at how we can increase that process, whether it's more people that we're hiring, and now that we have an understanding of how the process is moving forward. My sense from the board is that we will be very supportive of devoting resources to continuing that process and to speeding it up in a wise way, while preserving the labor-intensive nature of it that it sounds like is really necessary to do the job right.
Yeah, and
Thank
if I also may supplement that for Joe, the scanning of the documents is not the only new thing that the department is trying to implement concurrent with that scanning. So again, it's a work in progress, and like you said, it's methodical, but it's being done right, because there's a quite a list.
Okay.
On to organizational announcements. Is there anyone has an organizational announcement? Fine. On to village board resolutions. One who would like to comment on one of the resolutions or any of the resolutions. So please come to the microphone and state your name and residential address. Have 4 minutes to address the resolution.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and members of the board. I'm Nathaniel J. Parrish, licensed professional engineer in the state of New York and a full member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. I'm here to speak on the Ossining River Associates Snowden Woods project petition, which is the subject of several of your resolutions. I'm serving as a planning and environmental consultant to Mr. and Mrs. Jeff Smith and some of their neighbors. I strongly urge your board give further consideration to the basic issues involved before making any determination to march off on a long and detailed review process. As a planner, I can find no reasonable rationale for any consideration of these zoning amendments. Simply, it asks the board to allow more than doubling of the allowable density and significant increases in the allowable height, width, and bulk of buildings. This proposed zoning amendment absolutely violates both the village's comprehensive plan and its LWRP. I have not seen any planning reason why these violations should be considered. Your existing zoning was carefully enacted. It allows for modest and reasonable density in this area that would permit development, preserve open space, and fit in with the character of the coastal zone neighborhood. The current zoning is neither exclusionary, nor has there been any evidence that it's not economically feasible. The only apparent rationale for any consideration of the amendment is the applicant's offer of a free fire station in return for approval. This may very well be illegal, and at the very least, it's horrendous public policy. Surely, if this is enacted, it would establish a precedent that in Ossining, an applicant can ignore the zoning regulations if willing to pay the price. Should your board determine to give serious consideration to this proposal, then you take your comprehensive plan and your LWRP to the nearest shredder and throw them there because they would have no meaning. You would determine that you can completely disregard all of the proposals there and go on to consider this proposal. However, if your board makes the unfortunate decision to start a formal review process, I assume the next step will be a public CEQA scoping meeting, which I will present numerous detailed planning and environmental issues that will be needed to be examined by a full environmental impact statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who's come to address the board?
Hi, I'm Jeff Smith. I'm one of the adjacent property owners to the Ossining River Association property. I want to make 3 points. One is that this is not the first time this property has been proposed to be developed quite densely, and in the past, what has, as I understood it from the outside, what has always determined no to be the answer was the attempt to provide access to the property through the Beach Road area, which is much more restrictive zoning than the CDD area or whatever it was before. That hasn't changed. The version of the plan that I've seen, which was the one that was first handed out a few months ago, proposes that there will be access through Beach Road. It's going to be emergency access with a gate to stop everything until 150 cars every morning try to get out the other side, and then it's going to become routine access. It's going to turn Sandy Drive, which is a paper street, into a roadway. and I don't think that's appropriate. Not unrelated to that is that the only way this property can be developed, even within the range of what's allowed, is to apparently to have access to the firehouse property. So you don't have to sell the state, sell the land, sell the rights, sell the law, or sell the spot zoning in order to get something for the firehouse. It's whoever is going to be developing, however they're going to develop it, they're going to have to do something to get that land from you if you sit and you wait. And finally, when I heard the last presentation by one of the representatives of the property owner, there were numerous times when he talked about, with respect to this overlay and the spot zoning, there were numerous times when he talked about whoever owns this land, whoever owns this land. Once you give this spot zoning, that land is eminently flippable to somebody who doesn't have to deal with the anger that they're not sticking with the things that they promised along the way. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who's come to address the board?
Good evening, Joe Ariel. I am counsel to the applicant on the matter that's on the Snowden Ave development. I just very briefly want to say a few things in response to what we've heard. There is a really obvious reason why you haven't heard much planning rationale for why this is a wise decision for this legislative body, and that is because the process has begun. That is what the process is for, to examine that planning rationale. And I assure you, having done this for 25 years, and the team that we've assembled is in the same category. We didn't bring anything before this board without expecting to meet those discussion points and without expecting to be able to support those things in a full SECRA process. And as has been mentioned, we have never disagreed that that process is necessary, including a well-scoped EIS. The allegations that have been leveled as to whether or not any aspect of this is either spot zoning, unlawful, or whether this is some kind of quid pro quo, which should offend you as much as it offends me and my client, are completely unfounded and may in and of themselves be actionable. So I hope that we won't hear that again until we at least get a chance to develop the record here. So we look forward to the process, and it's an administrative process tonight that's required by your code. I thank you very much for putting it on your agenda, and I'm quite confident there isn't anything that's been raised here as a planning concern that we don't expect to fully vet with you and provide both the neighbor and this board and the planning board with some confidence on. Thanks.
Is there anyone else? Anyone? We'll move on to the resolutions. Resolve that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the minutes of the July 5th, 2017 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Thanks for keeping on top of
yeah.
things, gentlemen. Because you guys were absent, right?
We weren't here.
Yeah, okay.
None, and
Montel.
very much. Resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the minutes of the July 12th, 2017 special meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated July 19th, 2017, in the amount of $299,305.90. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whereas the Village of Austin partnered with the Village of Croton-on-Hudson, the Town of Cortland, the Town of Austin, the Town of Newcastle, and Westchester County to develop the Indian Brook Croton Gorge Watershed Conservation Action Plan, which was implemented in 2008 and included a series of goals and recommendations for implementation to protect and enhance the watershed. And whereas the 5 participating municipalities all signed a memorandum of understanding 2008 agreeing to voluntarily work in a cooperative manner to advance actions that would implement the recommendations of the Conservation Action Plan, and whereas in the past 10 years the communities have met periodically to discuss issues related to the watershed, and whereas in the past year the communities have begun to meet more regularly and now wish to seek grant funding to update the 2008 action plan and work on the implementation of certain policies. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Ossining, through the village manager, is hereby authorized to submit a joint grant application, Village of Croton-on-Hudson, the Town of Cortland, the Town of Ossining, and the Town of Newcastle to the New York State Department of State in an amount not to exceed $75,000 to hire a planning consultant to work with the municipalities to update 2008 Indian Brook Croton Gorge Watershed Conservation Action Plan. And the village manager of the Village of Ossining is further authorized to execute all necessary agreements with respect to said grant upon review by the village's Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll just say I'm very pleased to be able to partner with some of our neighboring municipalities, and it seems that the town of Croton has really taken the lead on this, and we're grateful for their attention to it, and it certainly is always welcome to be able to work together with other municipalities for the benefit of our environment, because Mother Nature really does not recognize municipal boundaries very well, so sometimes it's to everyone's benefit for us to work together, and I'm pleased to be able to support this effort. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the interim village manager is authorized to execute a consulting agreement with Corporate Plans, Inc., doing business as CPI HR, 6830 Cochrane Road, Solon, Ohio, for an amount not to exceed $13,000, whereby CPI HR will undertake a comprehensive evaluation of the current POMCO coverage afforded to the village employees and retirees as compared with the current Empire plan with NISHIP, as well as provide other services as detailed in the consulting agreement. Such consulting agreement subject to review by the Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I was really pleased by the presentation that we were able to have on this last week, and thank you to Linda McMahon for leading the effort, and Paul, thanks for encouraging her to do so. I will say that we did get some feedback very quickly from someone who was watching the meeting who is part of the Board of Education, because the school district made the decision to switch their health care benefits just a couple of years ago, and they have been pleased with their decision. So, some helpful feedback from a neighboring entity. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that pursuant to Section 270-59 of the Village of Ossining Code, the Board of Trustees refers to the Village Planning Board the petition for a text amendment to the Zoning Code, Chapter 270, filed by the Ossining River Associates, Inc., and it is further resolved that the Corporation Council shall forward to the Village's Planning Board the papers submitted in support of the proposed text amendment, and it is further resolved that the Village's Planning Board shall issue its report on the proposed text amendment to the Zoning Code within 62 days of this referral, and that pursuant to Section 270-59A1, the Village's Planning Board shall make inquiry and determination concerning the following items. A, whether such a change is consistent with the aims and principles embodied in the law as to the particular districts covered. B, which areas, land uses, buildings, and establishments in the village will be directly affected by such change, and in what way they will be affected. C, the indirect implications of such change and its effect on other regulations. And D, whether such proposed amendment is consistent with the aims of the comprehensive plan of the village and the LWRP. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board, I'd like to ask if Corporation Counsel Kahan might address some of the questions about this process.
Mayor, I'm happy to. Thank you. The code provides that where a request for a text amendment is made, the Board of Trustees shall refer that text amendment application to the Planning Board, which is the process that is being followed here. The Planning Board will consider it, will make a recommendation. That recommendation will come back to the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees would then conduct a public hearing and would ultimately make a determination on the proposed zoning text amendment. The next resolution that follows this one deals with the lead agency status, but specifically as relates to the referral, the process is Board of Trustees gets the application, they refer it to planning, planning considers it, makes a recommendation, sends it back to the board, to the Board of Trustees. Both at the planning board stage and when it comes back to the Board of Trustees, there will be hearings. The planning board will certainly be entitled to have hearings, which are both broadcast and can be viewed, and parties can attend and make comments. And certainly the public hearing, which the Board of Trustees would hold, there are specific requirements there for noticing of people who live within the area. So it would be a full public hearing on that, and only at that point would the Board of Trustees vote with regard to the proposed text amendment. With regard to issues relating to the comprehensive plan and the LWRP, that's one of the particular charges that the planning board is to consider with regard to the zoning text amendment. It's written into the code, and that's why, in fact, that language appears directly within this particular resolution.
Further comments or questions on this? I will just take this opportunity to, in the next very closely related resolution that we're going to be considering when we talk about being lead agency for the seeker process, I expect that one of the organizations that will be reviewing, they'll be asked to review during this process, is the Environmental Advisory Council.
Yes, in fact, I will be reading at that point the actual notice, and they are, in fact, one of the interested agencies and will be so put on notice of this.
So that is a call for applicants because we do have some openings on the Environmental Advisory Council. We have at least one member who's probably going to have to recuse himself from consideration. So please go on our website. There's a little icon with the hands raised. Click on that icon. We've got at least 10 boards, committees, and commissions in the village. One of those is the Environmental Advisory Council. Click on that and read what the Environmental Advisory Council does. One of the very important jobs that that council has is to review proposed developments, particularly in environmentally sensitive areas. The seeker process is in-depth, it's very thoughtful, it's deliberative, and we need some more concerned, engaged community members to serve in that council. And so I encourage you to please, right away, don't even wait till the end of this broadcast. Go onto your computer, click on the little icon that says raise your hand, and there's very simple instructions to just email the village manager's office with your interest. If you have a resume that's related, great. Otherwise, give us an explanation of what committee you're interested in and why. And I really hope we have some couple of strong applicants for the EAC. I know that my fellow board members and I would like to have that group fully constituted if we can, particularly as we enter into this very important consideration. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Corporation Council, would you like to read your statement, or would you like me to read the resolution first?
If you read the resolution first, then I'll read the notice.
Whereas Ossining River Associates, Inc. has submitted a petition to the Village of Ossining Board of Trustees for zoning text amendments involving the petitioner's property consisting of approximately 14.122 unimproved acres, primarily in the CDD zoning district, with 3.12% of the petitioner's property in the adjacent S125 zoning district. And whereas the petitioner's property is bounded by Snowden Avenue to the south, Old Croton Aqueduct to the east, Beach Road and Sandy Drive to the north, and public and private property to the west. And whereas according to the petition, the petitioner proposes to develop the property by constructing 198 residential units with amenities for its residents, 4 5-story buildings, 2 with 66 units each, and 2 with 33 units each, as well as construct a new firehouse more or less on the site of the existing firehouse on Snowden Avenue. And whereas with the petition, the petitioner has provided a survey, concept plan, proposed text amendments, environmental assessment form, physical analysis, and traffic study. And whereas the petitioner recognizes the need for a coordinated environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas the Board of Trustees has primarily identified a list of involved and interested agencies and wishes to conduct a coordinated environmental review under CEQA, and whereas the Board of Trustees has determined that it is the appropriate agency to serve as lead agency for the coordinated environmental review of the proposed actions described above, including the proposed zoning text amendments. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617, the Village of Austin Board of Trustees concludes that it is the appropriate agency to serve as lead agency for the coordinated environmental review of the proposed action described above, including the proposed zoning text amendments. And be it further resolved that the Village of Austin Board of Trustees hereby declares its intent to serve as lead agency for the coordinated secret evaluation of the proposed action described above, including the proposed zoning text amendments. And be it further resolved that the Village of Austin Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the circulation of the following documents on CD to the identified, involved, and interested agencies. A. Petition to adopt zone text amendments. B. Deeds. C. Survey. D. Concept plan. E. Proposed text amendment. F. Full environmental assessment form, Part 1, project and setting. G. Physical impact analysis, Bergman Associates. And H. Traffic impact study, Bergman Associates.
And Mayor, if I may now, I just want to read the notice that will in fact go out. Notice to involved agencies, declaration of intent to be lead agency, development of Snowden Woods project by Ossining River Associates, Inc. Please take notice that at its meeting held on July 19, 2017, the Village of Ossining Board of Trustees declared its intent to serve as lead agency for the coordinated environmental review of the proposed action described below. The petitioner, Ossining River Associates, Inc., is the record owner of property in the Village of Ossining, consisting of approximately 14.122 acres, primarily in the CDD Conservation Development District zoning district, with 3.122% in the S125 zoning district. The petitioner proposes to develop the property by constructing 198 residential units with amenities for its residents, as well as constructing a new firehouse more or less on the site of the existing site on Snowden Avenue. The proposal includes 4 5-story residential buildings, 2 with 66 units each, and 2 with 33 units each with associated parking. The proposal also includes a trail and bicycle path. The site location is Snowden Avenue to the south, Old Croton Aqueduct to the east, Beach Road and Sandy Drive to the north, and public-private property to the west. The proposed action has been preliminary classified as a Type 1 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617. The following potential involved and interested agencies have been identified. Involved agencies: Village of Ossining Board of Trustees, Village of Ossining Planning Board, Village of Ossining Zoning Board of Appeals, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. Interested agencies: United States Army Corps of Engineers, New York State Department of Transportation, New York State Department of State Consistency Review Unit of Planning and Development, New York State Hudson River Valley Greenway, Old Croton Aqueduct State Park, Metro North Commuter Railroad, Westchester County Planning Board, Westchester County Department of Environmental Facilities, Westchester County Department of Health, Scenic Hudson, Riverkeeper, Ossining Union Free School District, Ossining Volunteer Fire Department, Ossining Police Department, Town of Ossining Assessor's Office, and Village of Ossining Environmental Advisory Council. Under the applicable standards of SECRA 6 NYCRR Part 617, the Village of Ossining Board of Trustees has concluded that it is the appropriate agency to serve as lead agency for the coordinated environmental review of the proposed action discussed above, which includes the petitioner's application for a zoning text amendment. At its meeting held on July 19, 2017, the Board of Trustees declared its intent to serve as lead agency and authorized the circulation of this notice to the involved and interested agencies. This notice, along with a CD containing the application by Ossining Land Associates, Inc. for a zoning text amendment, survey, concept plan, proposed text change, environmental assessment form, fiscal impact and traffic impact study, is being sent to all involved and interested agencies. Each agency is hereby requested to fill out the attached lead agency agreement. If any involved agency does not agree that the Village of Ossining Board of Trustees should be designated as the lead agency, it may follow the procedures set forth in SECRA 6 NYCRR Part 617. If you have any questions or comments, you may contact Mary Ann Roberts, Village Clerk, 16 Croton Avenue, Ossining, New York 10562. Please return the completed lead agency agreement and any comments you may have on the application to the above address within 30 days of mailing. If you do not respond within 30 days, it will be interpreted as your consent that the Village of Ossining Board of Trustees shall serve as lead agency.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Not at this time, but during the visitor recognition. Yes, the list can certainly be, I assume that that notice is going to be made public, Corporation
Oh,
Counsel?
sure.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
If necessary, we can always amend that to add Clearwater. This is, but we have a fairly comprehensive list at this point, but we will certainly consider that if it's necessary.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel.
Sure.
Any further questions or comments? Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have any continuing business of the board?
Not continuing business.
Do we have new business of the board?
We do.
Request for a letter of support from the village for a consolidated funding application seeking funding from the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for the historic preservation of the Superintendent's Cottage at Dale Cemetery.
So, this came to us from the town of Austining. That they obviously are the ones who manage the Dale Historic Cemetery, which it looks like John is ready to comment on because you spend an awful lot of time there doing wonderful good work for the community. It so happens that the cottage is actually located in the village. Part of the cemetery, I guess, is in the village, and some of it is in unincorporated town. And I'm delighted to have the opportunity to support this letter. But John, please give us some more insights.
Well, the building itself is historic, and Dale Cemetery is one of the places that I do spend some time in my association with the Austining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy. We think that, or at least I personally feel that Dale Cemetery and Sparta, for that matter, offer a great opportunity for people to learn about the rich history, of Austining, and that building, that structure in itself, is historic in nature and is sort of the gateway to to Dale Cemetery. And I think this is a great project. Obviously, we're going to try and get some funding and get some help to get it started. But I think it's another way in which we can create opportunity for people to come to Austining and learn about the great historic things that have happened here, the very important people that lived here and are buried in Dale Cemetery. So I'm certainly in support of putting this letter forward, and hope my colleagues will join me.
Anyone else want to comment? Okay, so then this isn't a resolution we have to vote on. It's just that there's actually proposed language that be in the letter, and we wanted to make sure that the village board was supportive of putting this letter forward.
That's correct, and the letter has been provided to the town supervisor, who will just simply notify that it's the sense of the board that it's fine to go forward, and then she will submit it along with the rest of the application.
That's what I'm hearing? Is there anybody that's counter to that? We're all supportive of this. Great, thank you. Well, then in that case, I do have two other items for business. One of them, I apologize for not. I literally, while I was sitting here, I got a confirmation email from the gentleman who we received a little while back a proposal for him to potentially do the online submission for us for a CFA for one of the for the urban circulator, which is like a trolley or the low, and there was a fair amount of back and forth with the town and seeking some outside advice on exactly what pot of money we should be going after, and if we should be just looking at like a first phase, which would be a planning for how this could be a self-sustaining, highly functional local transit system, and the conclusion has been that there is a pathway through the CFA grants that makes sense, and that's due the end of next week, and that's an online submission. There might be some other paths that we can look at in the future. The proposal that this Jared Rodriguez provided to us was a higher number than we were expecting, and then he clarified that that would be not more than, and really dependent on how many hours he committed to it. So if we wanted to do a very expansive multi-layer application for a variety of phases and a variety of pots of money, then it would possibly approach the cap that he put on. But what we're talking about now is going to be a much lower amount. And the town discussed last night their participation they are pleased to be participating with a 50-50 share of the cost, and if there's matching, depending on what kind of a grant we end up getting, ultimately, then there would be a match for that as well. So Corporation Counsel took a look at Jared's proposal, and there need to be some modifications, and the way that it's presented will, I think, reflect the interests of the village and the town as equal partners in this.
Correct, but I can present a brief resolution for the board tonight, which would authorize the interim village manager to enter into the agreement with Mr. Rodriguez on behalf of Emergent Urban Concepts for the Urban Circulator project. And I'll prepare that. I'll communicate with the town supervisor so that we can get signatures from that end, and then we can forward it directly to Mr. Rodriguez, and he can get started.
I think we had a general consensus on this, but
Yeah.
before we move forward with it, we need to do something official.
The dollar amount?
The scope would not exceed $3,500. My understanding is the number of hours is going to be significantly reduced. He was looking at an hourly rate of $125 an hour. It would not exceed $3,500, which would then be shared equally with the village.
Town.
With the town, I apologize. So it'll
Okay.
$1,750.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so
So-
then please read the resolution for us, sir.
From here,
Oh,
it's okay.
from your mind's eye.
Sort of like Karnak.
Boy, you're dating yourself there, buddy. Karnak, wow.
All right. Resolved that the Village of Ossining authorizes the interim village manager to execute an agreement with Emergent Urban Concepts pursuant to the July 12, 2017 letter from Emergent Urban Concepts to Mayor Garrity relating to the Urban Circulator project, which agreement will be executed, as I said, by the interim village manager upon review of Corporation Counsel and the town of Ossining, which has agreed to share in the cost of this particular project on an equal basis with the village of Ossining.
Do we need to put the dollar amount in there, in the resolution?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Codman. The agreement will not exceed the sum of $3,500 total, which would be $1,750 to be payable maximum by the village of Ossining.
So moved.
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so my last item is referring to our calendar. And I think everybody on the board had a chance to look at our August calendar. August is one of those special months where it has 5 Wednesdays. Because of some of our scheduling in the summertime, we often take off a Wednesday in the summer. Theoretically, there's less things going on, but of course we're in the Village of Ossining, so there's never less things going on. So we're still looking to have 4 meetings in August, but we're going to take off the 3rd Wednesday, which is the 16th, thank you, and we're going to add the 30th. So, Madam Clerk, we will have the usual first Wednesday on the 2nd, right here at Birdsall Fagan, and then the second Wednesday, the 9th, will be a work session at 16 Croton, and then the 3rd Wednesday, the 16th, everyone can go enjoy dinner with their families, and then the 23rd will be at the 16 Croton Avenue, primarily for a work session, though we understand that there may end up being a legislative session that's incorporated into part of that so we can keep things moving forward, but we will not plan on having the reports from the department head, so you guys can enjoy your August off. And then on the 30th, we'll be back at Village Hall for another primarily a work session. Again, if there's need to go into special session, we certainly can. That sound good? All right, I hope everybody got their calendars ready, and we are excited for our slightly modified August calendar.
That doesn't require any resolution, right?
No,
We
it
just- Okay.
No, I think it's just publicly noticing, so I
Okay.
wanted to make sure that Madam Clerk had it up to date.
Okay, we have visitor recognition. Not seeing
We lost our
anyone.
visitors.
May I have a motion for adjournment to executive session for personnel related to a specific persons and real property?
So moved. Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much. I will remind everybody of 2 things. Right now, go to the village website and sign and look at how you may serve your community. We're particularly looking, folks, for the Environmental Advisory Council. There are a number of other committees that have vacancies or expired terms. So if there's something else that you see there that you think might be of more interest to you, then let us know that too. And there's very simple instructions on how you can let us know of your interest. And next week, special date, time, and place. Tuesday, July 25th, 7 p.m. at the Ossining Public Library. Keep in mind, parking can be tight. So give yourself a little bit of extra time, park your car, get a great seat. It's going to be a really interesting presentation. I can't wait to hear the recommendations from the Downtown Redevelopment Working Committee. I look forward to seeing you there and then hearing from you as part of our community conversation about the further revitalization of downtown following that meeting. This meeting is adjourned to executive session.